Treasury's Chief Procurement Officer Kenneth Brown has called it quits, announcing his resignation. Treasury says Brown is leaving government's finance office to work in the private sector. Brown's exit comes amid allegations against him over suspicious payments made into his account to the tune of 1 million rand. Finance Ministry at the time said they would look into the allegations. The Hawks are still investigating allegations around payments of 2 properties in Pretoria belonging to Brown. It must be noted Brown has powers or had powers in Treasury while he was in procurement on deciding on major contracts. And these allegations are from the Black Business Group that Brown was acting as a custodian for white monopoly in Treasury. And Kenneth Brown's tenure was shrouded with mystery, and especially the money that came into his account. Several payments made into Brown's home loan account for Pebble Rock Agov village in Pretoria between 2012 and 15. Large and smaller amounts were made into Brown's account. It comes a teletransfer of 206,567 in June 2013 and 200,000 in also in the same year. 60,000 rand followed by 23,000 in March 2014. 2 amounts of 50,000 credited to his account, all of it totaling to 1 million rand. And joining us is founder of Decolonization Foundation, Mzwanele Manyi. Mzwanele, thanks so much for joining us. I always like to start things at the genesis as to, before we see the end result with Kenneth Brown, who has been a long-standing public servant for 34 years, 19 years of which was spent at Treasury. He had announced that he will be leaving around June for a lucrative career opportunity in the private sector. Are you surprised by the resignation?
Yeah, no, definitely, because he was actually in the middle of a very important project of this repeal of the triple PFA. It's quite an interesting coincidence, because only this morning that we sent the dossier that they've been asking for, and we couldn't give it to them earlier because the Hawks were busy. We didn't want the investigations interrupted, but also given the fact that the Hawks are making serious headways on the investigations, and So this sudden departure after they've received this document is very interesting, and to another level for us at the Decolonization Foundation, we see this as a victory for clean governance. This is victory for cleaning out Treasury. So we think that his departure should be most welcome. In fact, we would argue the Decolonization Foundation that government must relook into this system. The whole reason of having the system set up the way it is for procurement was to minimize corruption. But if it looks like we've got corruption at the pinnacle of Treasury, it's very concerning. So the governance structure around procurement cannot be left to National Treasury on its own. We need to find a much more transparent system. Otherwise, the country is really at the mercy of a particular individual who can't afford that.
Is there a ballpark figure as to how much Treasury had spent on a preferential procurement for not only black compliant, but black owned enterprises and supplying the state?
It's a pittance. It's a real pittance because of this triple PFA law that ensured that 80 or 90% of the points are awarded towards low price, which only favors white monopoly capital. So the whole system in National Treasury is totally geared to support white monopoly capital. It's one of the things that needs to be seriously overhauled. The whole psychology of National Treasury, the systems, the policies that are there are not assisting with the development of black people.
All right, so now with the departure of the Chief Procurement Officer, Kenneth Brown, do you think the process will continue? Because according to his press statement is that, he stayed so he could capacitate and essentially do a thorough handover to his successor.
Yeah, look, by the way, the departure does not mean end of story. The investigations with the Hawks are still carrying on. And if the criminality is established as we think it will be, he still has to answer for this. What needs to be on the record now is the fact that there has been no action by his superiors. And these superiors have not acted in a consistent manner. We see pressure being put on poor Tom Moyane over whether he acted timelessly or not with his subordinate. And yet here at National Treasury, you've got a Chief Procurement Officer who the Hawks, which is a crime investigating unit, have confirmed formally that an investigation is on yet there was nothing within the management of National Treasury that kicked in to say we cannot sit with a senior official that is shrouded under such a cloud. So it's a serious letdown by National Treasury that they would keep such a senior official with not on suspension, yet with so many things over his head.
Okay, without jeopardizing the case, obviously the investigation being very sensitive, and we don't want to make any pronouncements until there is evidence to the effect. What is the damning content of the dossier that implicates Mr. Brown in suspicious activity?
I think I looked at your insert.
Beyond, this is also in the press, by the way.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, that insert has covered it. Anything else will jeopardize the investigation. So I think it's better to keep what's public. What's not there, at the right time, the Hawks will reveal a lot more. But I can tell you, there's a lot more. But we'll allow the Hawks to do their work. And very soon, more pronouncements will be made there from that direction.
Okay, but is there a timeline though? Because you say that the triple PFA needs to be revised so that we get that much needed transformation in the economy, create the opportunities for black business to also participate and share in the prosperity of the economy. Do you think, what timelines are there?
Well, that question was asked directly to the Director General yesterday in the APSIP forum. And the answer I gave, he said somewhere beginning of the year. So I think just to be played safe, let's just say within the first quarter of next year, we expect a gazette to be out in terms of what the DG said. In fact, I'm cutting him some slack. He could very well have said in January, but I'm cutting him some slack. I'm saying first quarter. So I'm giving them up to March next year that that gazette must be out. And as black business, as all of us, we're looking forward to making contributions on that policy. That policy is going to be very fundamental in ensuring that black people become part of the economic mainstream of this country. And up to now, these National Treasury policies have been marginalizing black business.
All right, any ramifications then when it comes to other state-owned entities like SAA with their guarantee loans, with the absence of Mr. Brown, or is it essentially all taken care of? Interesting
that you mention SAA. In fact, that's another place that actually requires a judicial inquiry, if you ask me. SAA, what's happening there is just shenanigans day after day. So you do need another judicial inquiry on SAA. In fact, you also need, even before that, you also need a parliamentary process to probe that what's going on in that place. It's another disaster happening there. We hear now that the guy that was given not a gold handshake, but a platinum handshake, Coleman Andrews, some 200 odd million. That guy is back. So for us as a Decolonization Foundation, we're very worried that maybe looting is about to begin. You can't have somebody that leaves 200 million and does a lot of asset strip at SAA. The reason SAA is in this mess is because of Coleman Andrews. And yet SAA or Minister Pravin Gordhan has seen it fit as the person running that entity to bring back Coleman Andrews. Why is it doing that? This is a mystery as to why would somebody that has stripped off the country like this, the airline like this, why is this person being brought back? So for us as the foundation, we are actually red carding this. We'll be writing to the president as well to ask for some commission, judicial commission, to look into the affairs of SAA, in particular the reappointment of Coleman Andrews, who ran away with 200 million of South African money.